2, 1. All right, welcome to the Uncommon Sense podcast. I'm your host, Blake, and today I bring together the Black Senate once again. We're here to talk about Black History Month. It is Black History Month. So happy Black History Month to everybody. But we wanted to talk about, the meaning of Black History Month. What does that necessarily mean as far as, are we celebrating our history or are we turning our history into a holiday? Are we turning it again into something marketable? One of my biggest things is like how Nike has the Black History Month shoe collection, basketball, football. They put the African graphics on the shoes. They change up a little bit. They put the clothing on, and I wanted to talk to you guys and kind of just conversate. And is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Should we be looking at it differently? Should we be worried about them monetizing it as opposed to celebrating it? Before I'll just introduce everybody. So we have Diana White. I used to work with her at Le Chateau. She's a very smart woman, graduated John Mosley School of Business. Neldy, photographer supreme, content creator, Mr. Fantastic, Wizzy Moon Chaser, Mr. Everything Social Media, Mr. Radio on every Friday, the man who got me into podcasting, Jay Will, super trainer, all over the place, showed me how to get training, showed me how to get online and, get this stuff done. Miss Dee, strong Black woman. It's in her name, Dee the Destroyer. Killer everywhere. And finally, my man Jamal, the true assassin, Mr. Army. Salute you, sir. So with that all and everything, let's jump into it. So, Black History Month, good thing or bad thing? What do we say? So what do we think?
I don't want to say bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it's a...
So let me put it in this context then.
Yeah.
Is there an issue with turning something that we've been fighting for representation, meaning that we've been fighting to be acknowledged? Is there a problem in simply turning this into a month-long celebration where when February comes in, it's fantastic, it's awesome, it's great, but once March 1st comes, all the banners come down, all the Black history, goes to the wayside, and we start thinking about something else. Is this an issue? Is this a problem? Does this turn us into a fad again?
Yeah, I think you have a point there. I think what's changed is the recent civil rights movement may have an impact on that. Like, had you asked me this last year, I would have said, yeah, it's definitely going to be a fad, something that's going to die as soon as March 1st hits. But I think with what's happened with, the movement, I think Black culture at the forefront is something that's going to be here to stay. And whether, I guess we can talk about that later, about whether it's good to brand it or not. I think for me, it's just been rebranded in our community itself. Like, if we just forget about all the corporations, I know that, or I guess all of us when we were young, Black history was just talking about Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman during February at school. But now it's turned into, it's shifted as a, I guess, in the way that it's presented, in that our generation is trying to make it something of their own, right? It's just something that's different from what our parents have experienced. And I really don't see anything wrong with that, especially now in the age of social media. Branding is a thing. It's just a part of our generation. So it's natural that would extend to Black History Month, right? So maybe that's why it feels so branded and so polished compared to what we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else got a point on that? Or are we good?
Sorry.
No, it's good.
No, but she said it all. She said a lot. Yeah.
I also think that, I guess it's changed, like she said, it's changed over the years. And I want to point out, to me, which is, it's stupid to say, but I'm like, Black History Month is almost not for me. meaning it's not. We didn't make Black History Month wasn't put in or implemented or like became like a month because Black people had said we need a month. It's because we literally were like, y'all don't know about us. That's why. That's why it's there. Meaning we need to teach other groups that we exist, that we've made things, that we're here, that we need to respect us, that we're taking space. Does this mean that there's an opportunity for companies to cash in? Yes. Does this mean that like now I have to sit in diversity meeting asking me like how can we make this more Black and it just lasts for 3 weeks? Yes. But I do think that it's the greater good of it outweighs the stupidness of it, the stuff that is not great of it. Like I no matter what, if your company, you're going to market anything, it makes sense. But at the base level for me is if I go somewhere and you don't know about George Washington Carver from Black History Month, I'm going to go like, you're not trying. You're not trying at all. You've not even. What are we doing? I don't know who Harriet Tubman is. So you've never heard of Black History Month ever, because that doesn't make sense. I think the goal of Black History Month is at some point we all know, and then we don't need it because then we'll just have history, not just Black history. History. Right now we have to take ourselves out because they're not making us part of history. That's why we have Black History Month, which is again stupid. It's a double meaning for something that should just be history.
Right. Well, because so that happened in was it the MLB or the NBA where they've just now like kind of correlated the Negro League along with the history of the sport. So it's like before then it was like all that stuff didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those players got no representation. It's like, yeah, you played in a B league. It doesn't matter. You know, I don't care if you hit more home runs than Babe Ruth. You don't exist. So yeah, I guess that is a good point. Black History Month really isn't for us. It's for people to learn about us. That's a good point. That's a really good point. But in saying that though, because the thing is, and what I look at, or like what I was reading about was when you do look at these companies who are like, it's Black History Month, support Black history, all this kind of stuff. It's like, again, I look at like Nike, right? Like, so Nike has a whole line of shoes that it's specifically, especially basketball, like all Black History Month. They basically change the colors, all this kind of stuff and everything. And then I'm trying to look at them like, okay, so how does that reverberate back into the Black community? You know what I mean? Like, how does that come back into play for? And I know again, it's market, right? So like Diana said, everybody's a brand, everything's a brand. Your toilet paper is a brand, your socks are a brand. The air you breathe is a brand. Everything's a brand now. So everything's going to get branded, everything's going to get bought up. But is there like should we be worried at all about kind of going through the same problems we had before? I'd say probably around like the 80s and 90s, to where should it be something where we have to guard the brand of being Black? Like, do we have to really kind of keep our eye on this? Like, do we have to watch out for this? Because it could very easily go back to like 80s and 90s where we were just, there was always the token Black guy in the show, or there was always the token, crazy Black woman, or, just typecast roles. So is it something that we have, like, is it going more in a good direction? Like Diana said, is it actually going in a good direction? Are we looking at it in the right way? Or are we kind of just saying, yeah, it's 1 month out of the year, it's not for us, like, let's just leave it alone with that?
I don't think so. I think what she said was right, because everybody's more aware now than ever before, I feel. So if you do the 2 token thing, automatically you're going to get waves of people saying, no, we don't like that. So I think they're being bullied into being humans, these big corporations, and not giving us the same old same that we're used to.
They're trying.
Well, when I think about Nike, I think about movement. So they're all about creating movements.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they revolve the movements around themes. So, given the fact that it is Black History Month, and they created this theme with the colors and like try to make it more, ethnic, uh, cultural, warm colors, all these things. Like it went from a theme to more of like a economic, marketing economic way to generate sales, generate attraction, generate um, an image that they want to create for their brand,
Mm-hmm.
not just like globally, but specifically, right? Because it's catering to us, but it's not just catering to us. It's catering to their consumers, and I think like that approach is not the right approach to go. Whereas when you see, let's say, some of the superstars in the NBA wearing the warm up tops,
Mm-hmm.
and on the warm up tops they got like "We Are Black History" labeled on the shirt. It doesn't say Nike on it, or it doesn't. Yeah, it does. It has a swoosh, but it's not like Nike made the shirt.
Right.
It's not like Nike put that on the shirt. I should say. I believe that there's probably the NBA Players Association. Somebody decided to say, you know what, you guys are images of our culture, of our ethnicities. You guys need to represent. And if you'd like to represent, well, we're gonna collectively work together and put this out there on your shirts, and that way it can spread throughout social media and raise awareness for our culture. You know what I mean? So in a way, I feel like that's the angle that the NBA, the superstars and the Player Association probably collectively, but at the same time, I don't feel comfortable with the fact that Nike went out of their way to do this for Black History.
Right.
I don't agree with it. Why didn't they just do it for Valentine's Day too? Then, like, why didn't they just do it for St. Patty's Day? Like,
yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
It kind of defeats the fact that it's not just a month. It's not just a cultural thing. It's important. It's historical. That's what it's supposed to be.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's kind of like what I'm touching on. It's like one of my biggest things is that in becoming I think as Black people, we're moving more towards a seat at the table if we don't already have one. We're monetarily, we're doing a lot better. Business wise, we're doing better. I mean, listen, everyone's always going to argue. We always want that equality that everybody else has. But if you look at our position from where we were even 20 years ago compared to where we are now, we've made a lot of strides going forwards in the right way. Not just having this illusion of wealth, but actually accumulating actual wealth. Like LeBron says, I want my kids and my kids' kids and my kids' kids' kids to be well off. Like, I don't want it to just be, I drive, a fancy car and my kid drives a fancy car, and then the generation after that has nothing. He's like, I want the James name to be synonymous with wealth forever. I want to set it up that way. And I think we're starting to get that position. We're starting to understand that game and how that works. And when I'm thinking about Black History Month and I'm thinking of these things, I'm just wondering, like, are we in the driver's seat of Black History Month? Because that's where I feel like we should be. I feel like we as a community should be driving the narrative for Black History Month and making sure that people are learning about the things that we need to hold prevalent. Like Diana said, we saw a lot in the last year in 2020 as far as seeing a lot of injustices firsthand, police brutality, situations where, political rulings aren't done properly. Like we talked about it on the last podcast we were all together, but is it like, can we use Black History Month as an actual platform to move the narrative forward, as opposed to simply just having something we can brand and put African flags all over? Like, can we take this thing and really kind of like use it for our benefit, as opposed to just corporative, turning into like another Valentine's Day?
I think yes and no. I think by far this year and the past 2 years, meaning like from 2020 to now, has been the most I've seen done in Black History Month, and the most I've seen corrected in Black History Month. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was performative. There was a lot of stuff that, like, we're just going to add a Black voice or a Black person that's famous and then put him in front of the company and say, hey, we care about you for this month and we're good. But like Diana said, a lot of people have been called out. Hey, you say you're with us, or you say you care about Black folks or whatever, Black Lives Matter or diversity matters to us. But then if we look at your website and your board, it's all white dudes or it's all white people. So you don't get to talk no more unless you actually preach what you're about to like try to sell to us. So I think that's been done more and more. I also do think that like money begets commercialism. We live in North America. It's 2021. There's no company not trying to make money. It's not something that can't happen, and I think that's something that we're going to have to live with until the end of time. That's just how things are. Until we have no more money or everything turns to crypto, I'm not sure. Then maybe something will change. But I do think that we are more in the driver's seat that we've ever been. But I do agree with you that like there could be more to be done. There is a narrative that we don't have quite yet on how collectively we should say, hey, this is what we want. Like, it's good to have Black History Month. This is where we came from and this is who we are. But there should be also an emphasis of like, hey, by the way, this is what we want. That month that you have, we want to spread it out to like the whole year. Stop doing this thing that like you see us for the month. Cool, we're done. Those 28 days. I'm not even saying a month. It's 28 days. Those 28 days we're here. But what about the rest? What's your plan for the rest? Because we're gonna come back next year and check up on you. What's your report card on your Black History Month stuff? What happened? That's what I would want.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry,
No.
go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, just piggyback a little bit of what Natalie was saying. I think we should throw the whole thing away. I think the more I know this is an unpopular kind of take, but the more we celebrate Black History Month, the more we're just kind of just appeasing those that don't look like us, that want to quote unquote understand us. We should just throw the things away. When you guys started to do research, you guys all enlightened folk, you guys all see that, God damn, we invented so much shit. So it wasn't like Black people, we just came up with 2-3 things and it was like cool. We really contributed to like human life. And until they really teach that in school and integrate that into just general history, I think every time we celebrate Black History Month, just kind of just like, you know what, guys, we gave you guys a month, shine for 28 days, and then we'll get back to regular business. We need to stop creating this difference between regular history and Black history. It's the same damn thing. And every time we celebrate Black History Month, we're just pushing this kind of ideology that we're two separate entities when we're really just one thing.
I don't disagree. It's a good point, but it's just we're not at the point yet where like we can't even say it's in the curriculum everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like,
but see, the curriculum is based on the province.
Yeah,
we can decide that. So the fact that we just keep letting them teach our kids that Black people, like a Black woman didn't invent the security camera that everybody uses around the world, it's kind of disingenuous. The fact that everybody uses a smartphone and is the key component of the smartphone that was invented by Johnson, and nobody talks about that. So we're letting our kids go to school and be taught by teachers that are saying, listen, we're just going to omit certain things. I'm just not cool with that. And for them to give us a month in February, like, okay, well, you guys got your month. Because you see the narrative, right? Whenever you push back against them, they'll say, well, we gave you a month. What do you mean you gave us a month? I just think we should just throw the whole thing away. It should just be integrated into general history. But no, you're definitely right. We're light years.
I 1000% agree with you. It should be general history.
No, but
I
no,
hate that it's not
no, but
general history.
I totally agree with you. We're light years away from getting there,
Mhm.
and every time I sit down with you, we keep having the same conversation, right? How are we possibly going to get there, right?
Yeah.
Because for us to get there, a large group of us had to say, "Hey, listen, this is fucked up. We're not going to stand
Yeah.
for this no more." And for some reason, amongst us in the Black community, we just can't just focus on one kind of goal. I think education would have been an easy sell for all of us to kind of wrap our heads around. But unfortunately, there's some Black conservatives that don't agree.
I think it's also tough to it's tough to be in the position where you're like, listen, I'm Black, and I not even that I know my history, but I'm tired of having to explain Blackness to you, but you still need to learn Blackness for me to stop having to teach you Blackness. You know what I mean? Like you kind of stuck there.
Yeah, it's
It's a catch-22 type of thing.
Yeah.
But as soon as I want to be at a point, and I'm thinking idealistically. As soon as we get to that place, I'm like, we done. Next point. What else do we need? You guys all know about Black history. We don't need to tell you no more. You can't come back and say, "Oh, I didn't know about that thing." No, we told you. It's done.
But who's gonna make the curriculum?
That's the thing. That's the issue.
So Dorothy, how the curriculum works, right?
Because I went to French school, by the way, and I did not get any Black history.
Yeah, so
French school, you don't learn anything. You don't learn Canadian history.
No, well,
all you learn about is the beaver trade. That's pretty much all you learn about.
And then after the beaver trade, you finally hear about Black people. How the curriculum works is this: every province decides what core values they want to promote. So Quebec is literally saying, well, in many different ways they've shown us, yo, they don't give a fuck about us because they're literally omitting important historical facts, and no one say nothing about it.
Of course not.
It's crazy, but they say the parents have to be the one to go to the board and say, listen, this has to change. And most Black parents, as we know, they're too busy trying to make ends meet. They're too busy dealing with the pressure of society. So we have a lot of other external factors that's fucking with us for us to sit down and be like, we're going to focus on this one issue. And that's the burden of being Black.
I'm not really ready to buy into that. I think we give away too much power. I'm sorry. I agree with everything you said or everything everyone has said. But I think at some point, I think it was maybe in 2015, I had organized for Black History Month. I was working at Le Chateau Blake around that time.
Yep.
And I just, the corporate setting, it can be very isolating. We have maybe 2 or 3 Black faces that we all know each other. But I mean, in my entire
I had to go 3 floors up just to find another Black person.
Another Black person.
Hi,
right?
Diana. Hi, Blake. Okay, I'm going back downstairs now. Bye.
I feel better, right? Exactly. So it's I felt that's how I felt. There were other friends who were in corporate settings. They felt isolated. So we decided we wanted to do a brunch. We called it Brown Beauties Brunching. It was by 4 brown girls to bring women together in Montreal and just connect, just talk. You know what I mean? And we didn't ask for anybody's permission. We funded it ourselves. We took a huge risk. We sold out the brunch. Nobody knew who we are. We started advertising in the middle of December, and we sold out 200 seats by the middle of February. And not anybody, the government or anybody else had anything to do with it. So in terms of throwing Black History Month away because they created it, it's can we just focus on what it means to us?
Yes.
Let's just take them out of the equation.
Yeah.
What does it mean to us? And then assess the value of Black History Month or any effort we make. We can't keep asking. I mean, you can ask for a seat at the table. I feel like the movement is multifaceted, and we need to play all aspects.
Yeah,
that's what I want to say.
No, I'd like to reply to that. Asking them to teach our kids the proper history isn't asking for a handout. That's asking for them to do a factual thing. And you could have had that luncheon at any given other time. It didn't have to be Black History Month. The fact that you felt the need that, they labeled it February Black History Month, I'm gonna do my event then. You could have done that event anytime.
No, I did subsequent events.
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
We
No.
started. We happened to just start that time, but we did 4 other events throughout the year. And I'm not saying, like I said, it's multifaceted. You can play that aspect, but just because they're unwilling to incorporate our culture, our history in the textbooks, I don't want us to use that as an excuse to not mobilize and do what we want to do what we need to do. Like Blake said, we now, more than any time ever in history, have a lot more capital. How come we're not using that capital to buy the textbooks, create the textbooks that we want our kids to have? I'm sorry, we're not going to use those crutches anymore. I don't agree with it.
The textbooks are created. We do have all black. The textbooks are created by Dr. Dorothy. All the information is there. We've done all the legwork. No one's using anything as a crutch.
So why doesn't everybody know about it? Why isn't it accessible?
Well, why doesn't the black community, whenever we have a good connect, a lot of us don't share the connect. It's all accessible. All these things are available. The #1 historian for black history is Dorothy Williams. She's created a whole curriculum of black history for the government to take. Everything's readily available for them. You know what I mean? Everyone keeps saying, oh, we're not going to wait on anybody. We're going to create our own seat at the table. That's all cool and fine and noble. But at the end of the day, we all live in a society together. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have a seat at the table, but we still have to interact with each other. At some point, we still have to talk to white people. At some point, we still got to talk to Asians. You know what I mean? We can all splinter off and do our own little thing. But at some point, we all need to come into the fold and conversate with each other.
No, for sure. But I think you need to clean up in your own house first. I just find it's like a fundamental. That's just my way of thinking. I don't think I don't see how it's effective. If you have the energy and the time, clean up within your own house and then try to build externally. That's just my way.
We've been trying to clean up in our own house since the 60s. We can't even agree on 3 basic things in the black community that we need to focus on. So
it's because we get thrown crack. That's why.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Like crack in the mix, and then we're like, oh shit.
I totally agree with that.
Crack now.
I totally agree that we need to clean up whatever insecurities, whatever issues we have within our own black community before we could step forward into the world and say, you know what, we want this, we want to do that. But then you went into another example now. A lot of us can't seem to work together. So how that's supposed to work? Because at some point we need to have a certain level of cohesiveness somewhere.
I agree. I strongly agree with that leadership is lacking. I've had recent hiccups myself, not giving up on my goals because of these hiccups. But I agree that leadership is definitely an issue.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think one of the biggest problems in our city is the people that they deem as our black leadership. Are you comfortable with the people that they put up in front as our black leaders of our community?
Who are black leaders?
I don't know any of those people.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know.
No, it's okay. I'll give you guys some names, and you guys know that.
Oh God, he's calling people out. Okay.
No, but I'm not even calling them out. I don't know who they are. That's what.
No. I'm gonna tell you who. Whenever there's things that happen, these are the people that the quote unquote white people they tap on, and I'm a radio host, so it's my job to keep these guys' feet to their fire. So you have people like Tiffany Callender, you have people like Malisha Heath, you have people like Tyra Lindor, you have people like Brian Smith, you have people like Kemba Mitchell. My thing is that some of our quote unquote black leaders aren't in it for the real reason. Just by hearing you talk, and some of you guys were on the podcast before, I know you guys' intention is pure. If you guys were on TV, I'm like, you know what? I'll follow Ned Lee. I'll follow Dorothy. Mm-hmm. Some of these guys that are quote unquote community leaders don't have our best interests at heart. So when you're talking about cleaning up house, that's where I would begin. Some of our black leaders, yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Wiz? Are those black leaders whom we've appointed, and by we I mean by people in our community?
Yeah.
No.
Like, are those people who we believe in? Or are those people
we never voted. You don't get to vote. You don't get to vote. They're appointed. They're appointed.
Exactly.
And then, like some of those people he mentioned, they're not really actually leaders. They're just personalities on social media. They're not actively grinding. Because I guarantee you, I don't know if you guys know that I started a small nonprofit 9 months ago. It's called We Funded It, and it's basically crowdfunding for entrepreneurs and businesses. And the thing is, it's like I realize, and these are the hiccups that I've been dealing with. is that everybody wants to shine, but nobody wants to grind. And that is a huge problem right now. And I think some of the people you just mentioned are a part of people who behave that way. And yeah, that's a great question, Blake. No, we did not put them there. They just kind of either self-appointed or appointed by people who had power and money, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, whenever I see this, like, yeah, that's it exactly, John. That's it exactly. It's like I see these guys who I'm just like on Facebook, like Black community leader or this kind of stuff, and I'm like, but what community are they leading?
I don't see you in the community. I don't see you out there.
What are you talking about?
I don't know where you are.
The crazy part is like there's like unsung heroes, or they're like unspoken heroes.
Yeah.
That do the legwork, that don't get any exposure, that don't get any visibility, that don't get spoken about, and they do these little projects. They do like, monumental things and influential things in the community, and they don't go out of their way to expose
to
them.
Advertise. Yeah, can you give us some names, Jonathan? No, I'm serious. I want to know who you're talking about.
Honestly, I can't even speak for those unknown heroes. I can't.
Okay.
What I believe, that's what I believe though. I believe that they exist. I believe that they've been in the city, in the community for decades. But they don't want the credibility. Their purpose in life isn't for the credibility. Their purpose in life isn't for the exposure. Their purpose in life isn't to get on CTV and City TV and get on their platform on IGTV and speak about it. They don't do that. Okay? They're raising awareness within their community. So yes, they don't carry the hat that they're community leaders. But by character, by their ways of action, by their good deeds, by the smiles on these young Black kids' faces, or the parents, like, it can go on forever. Like, there's a okay. So I can give you a little small backstory just from my own family, okay, where the Negro Community Center in Little Burgundy, where I used to go when I was a little kid, going to day camp in the hood. There was this one lady. She's in her 90s now. Everybody knows who she is. Even Malik Shaheed was going to NCC camp when he was a kid, and she used to be there for us. She used to cook for the whole entire camp. She used to cook for like the Sunday school. She used to do deeds. She used to have people donate stuff. She would send it off to different parts of different countries, whether it be Barbados, whether it be somewhere overseas that needed it. Those are the deeds that like she did and paved the way for so long, so many decades. She don't get spoken about on TV. She doesn't go and create an IG platform or build somebody behind her, a team behind her to do this stuff and push all this stuff forward. But you know what? She's a living legacy. She's gonna die a happy person because she was able to pave the way and pay good deeds forward for so many Black people, so many Black kids, and for our culture in Montreal. And she never gets any praise for it. She never
but this is great, but like, wouldn't it be even better if we can grab a person like that and elevate her so that we can all see what she's doing, and then like make her do that exponentially 100%. Instead of having someone that just goes on TV and says they're doing things and or explain whatever thing happened to Black people because apparently they're the spokesperson, but don't actually do anything in the community. Like, you mentioned names where I'm like, I know who they are, but I only know who they are because they're on Facebook. I only know who they are because they're on Instagram.
All the time.
Cool. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying like, obviously, I'm not saying you don't need those people. You do, but I'm saying like Weezy said, it's who appointed you and what do you do after that? Like, do you go back to the community and say, listen, you said this on TV, that's not what we wanted to say, or like, this is the points that we need to go and say on TV. We say these are the 3 things, or these are the 4 things. These are the people that we should elevate. Go say that because they listen to you. Cool. But that doesn't happen. I don't know if we can call them community leaders or just just black entertainers. That's what they are to me. You're on
Yeah.
you're
there
on
you go.
social media.
There you go.
Like when you tell me a leader, that's a community leader, that's a politician. I don't see those.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't see a black politician.
I think the
don't
leader
see a
definition is
black
a bit
mayor. I
fuzzy.
don't see yeah, exactly. I don't see like a district leader. I don't see that.
Yeah. And
But
they
I do
don't,
see
and
it, yeah.
there are no quantifiable results as to the impact that they're making. So for me, if you can't give me that, I don't call you a leader. But
That's what I mean. Like, there's not you don't
Yeah.
affect change directly
Yes.
into my neighborhood or into my surrounding. Nothing you do changes what I
Nothing
do.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if nothing you do changes what I do, that's not a leader to me. That's just a dude talking. That's just a person talking. And you can talk all you want. That doesn't mean anything to me.
But
And
they do have the ear of a
Yes.
majority of the black population. That's the
the
only
issue.
that they have that, and that is a power. And they
Yes.
self-appointed themselves up there. And the more they gab and gab on the soapbox, they keep keeping the attention of people. So I don't know where the shift needs to happen. Is that we cannot just
Well, they're there because people support them. So, I mean, it's the going back to the fact that we can't agree on something. We don't agree on what the plan is, and that's for everybody. Everybody has a different plan, it seems. So they follow the people that go with whatever their plan in their head is. And that's not the same for everybody.
But they don't
Yeah.
do anything. So what is their like? What
Again,
is the plan?
everybody plays their role. I don't know what leader means
Right.
to most of you, but leader is not being
I
loud.
think
and
the
saying
problem
big
is we don't have enough people.
I think that too. There's
Not
not
to
enough
how
people
people-
going, hey, by the way, you're on TV or you're in the media, and we are the people. You're speaking for us. And maybe some of the stuff you said, and I'm not saying that what they're saying, where they're saying it, is not something that is factual or something that is good or whatever else. I'm just saying you self-appointed yourself there. Cool. You're in that position now. Cool. Now come back and like use that voice to actually say what we want, to actually put the issues out that we like, for us to even be able to go, all right, these are the things we want. Come back to us so we can go like, hey, I don't see these people going like, hey, what should I'm going on, let's say I'm going on CTV. What should I ask? Black people, what should I ask? DM me and ask, like, give me a few talking points. Even if it's like all jumbled or whatever, at least you have an idea of what people want to talk about. These are the things that are happening.
But that's it though. That's like we don't have like there's not enough people, and there's not enough young people asking questions. There's not enough like people our age. I consider us young, even though we're not that young. But like they're not asking questions. Like you say DM, like I can't ask my grandma to DM nobody. She's literally talking about. You know what I mean? Like but like I mean, like certain people like our age, like, and the problem is with our age, not us here, but like for a majority is a lot don't care. They just like a lot of people, and it comes down to like Instagram, Facebook. A lot of it's clout. Everybody's like, oh, what's hot now, and what can I do now to keep me hot, and this and that. Like half people on my Facebook who I see who are black, half of them it's about clout. Like half of them are doing all the TikTok challenges and the TikTok dances, and I'm like, okay, what substance have you brought other than this? You've brought nothing, and you're not asking any questions about stuff that happened in the past or where you want to go forward from here. That's the problem, right? Like, I had a conversation with John last week, about telling him my new project. I'm not going to mention it here because it's like, still in the works. But like John right away was like, initiative, like what can I do? How can I get involved? Like he was like right away, like all down with it and like ready to put in legwork and ready to put in the work and this and that. And it's like, that's what I want. But we don't see enough of that anywhere else. Like it's rare that you see that, right? So like then you're like, okay, Black History Month. Personally, I'm part of this group. I'm not gonna say the name of the group here and stuff, but on Facebook. And the guy who runs it, he's my age, and he's literally just learned like a month ago about Marcus Garvey. But like he's trying to like push hard like black culture and Africanism and all this stuff. And he came at me at one point and he's talking about like, oh, you're not black enough. I was like, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. I was like,
that's my life in a nutshell. You're not black enough.
Yeah,
yeah. I was like,
That's been my life in a nutshell. You're not black enough.
I can't. That's the words that I just can't. I can't deal with them. I
Yeah.
never mind someone who, you know what? Not everybody knows about everything. You learn what you learn at any point in your life, but you have to be honest with what you learn at every point in your life. If you didn't know and you said, "I just found out about this. I didn't know before. I'm a new person, and I'm going forward with the information I know." Perfect. If you go, I didn't know about this thing, and now that I have this information, I want to learn more, and I need to put people around me to teach me more. Perfect. If you go and say, "I didn't know about this shit," and you told me about something, and I don't like what you told me, therefore you're not black enough, you got to be out. That don't work.
The worst part is I didn't even insult. All I really said in the group, I asked one question one time. I said, "Okay, guys, this is great. We're learning about all these like Black History things, and you keep posting stuff about these people or whatever." I said, "Is there anything more we can do? Can we bring this to another level?" Yo, dude went off on me. Like, dude absolutely went off on me. Like, you're stop kissing Caucasian ass. This is the word to use. Stop. Yeah. Stop kissing Caucasian ass. If you were more like in tune with your Africanism, this and that. I was like, buddy, I went to Marcus Garvey Elementary School. Are you you lost your mind or what? Like, so anyways, long story short, because it's a really long story. I ended up like writing my buddy, who's like, he knows us pretty well, the guy. I was like, "Yo, what's up with your boy? Your boy's kind of a clown still." He's like, "Yo," he's like, you just figured that out now?" He goes, "Let me guess. You asked a question, he couldn't answer it. He called you out for being a whatever, like a not black enough." I was like, "Exactly." I'm like, "What's up with that?" He goes, "Yo, the dude just found out that about Black History like 2 months ago." He's like, he goes, "No, listen. The dude is he's Haitian. I'm not gonna call him. I'm not gonna throw him on the bus.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not gonna name names, but like he was adopted by a white family back when he was a kid. Grew up in Longueuil. He's like calling me. My buddy told me this. He didn't tell me this. My buddy told me this. He's like, "Yo, he literally just found out about what being black is. Like, he's angry." I'm like, "Okay, why is he getting mad at me then?" Who like, sorry that I'm not gonna like try to throw dirt on nobody, but like, look at my grandfather. If you look at who my grandfather is, Dr. Leo Bertley, you're gonna know that I was born into this, man. Like, this is like Black history and Black culture is like, it's in my veins more than my skin's on my body. It's ridiculous. So like, I don't know. I just dude kind of got me vexed, and I was like thinking like, "Yo, this is what the problem is. You're attacking one of your own, when all I was trying to do was like elevate it even more and bring it to another level of what can we do more." And you went to this whole next level. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, and the insult is, you just found out about who Marcus Garvey is last month, bro. You're like,
but that's what we talked about, right?
Dog.
Someone tries the whole position. It's I have this website, I have this Facebook group or whatever. There's a lot of people in it, and now that you showed me up to maybe something I don't know, I'm insecure about it. So then instead of being like open into a conversation, like, "Listen, I don't know, let's all pull our resources together and learn." No, I'm going to shut you out. I'm going to be a gatekeeper and shut you out. And I have my thing. I don't want my thing to be ruined. That's how some people are. I'm sure a lot of the people that, again, are being called leaders, if you took that position away, they would fight. They would fight not because it's the better thing for us to do, but to fight to hold that position, which is annoying. It's annoying. Like, I don't like people being like John said, like unsung heroes. I hate that. I hate unsung heroes. People should be elevated to the most. I try my hardest to elevate everybody to the most. When I can't do, please do for me. Show me, and I will shout your name out and whenever I can. But I holding position or holding blackness, like the gatekeeping thing, is stupid to me. There's no gatekeeping, and especially between us. The whole thing of like, who's black enough, who's not, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you grew up where you grew up, you've experienced blackness the way you've experienced. Maybe what you've experienced would like open my eyes to something else that I have not experienced before. Like the way where Blake grew up is not where I grew up. But then me learning how he grew up, like, okay, so you've experienced the same shit, some of the same shit I experienced, but in your way and in my way, like maybe it was harder or harder in my eyes, but it, like once we talk, we find common ground, and that's how that works for us. So then we can all go listen. It's not just about like this specific type of black person that you think is the blackest. It's all of us is that blackness, and we're bringing all this forward. Like that's what to me that what Black History Month should be, or just Black history. But that's not what's happening, and that's it pissed me off the moment you said like not black enough. I got triggered.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Every bell in my head went off like right off the bat. It was just like, okay, yeah, there we go. That's it. Diana knows what it like. Didi probably knows too. Being light skinned,
the light skin struggle is real.
Being the light skin, everybody that light skin in the '90s, man, they turned us against our own. Like I taught, me and Wizzy have talked about that. I don't know how many times about how like in the '90s, man, they black skin versus light skin, like they literally
till this day.
They literally had us chomping at each other, just like, oh, whatever, porch nigger and all this kind of shit.
You don't know anything. Yeah.
You're like, you were in the house. I was like, dude, my dad is black as fuck. Like, give me a break. Porch nigger. Come on, man. My great grandfather died in the ditch. Like, give me a break about that shit.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Family, but not to that extent. I've only had it like from a cultural point. Like, let's say, we're all having a dinner together, like a how the big family dinners or cookouts and stuff like that. And me personally, I just don't eat everything that most of my culture makes, right? So there always comes a point in time.
Oh boy,
you're
offending the man.
My sibling or like a family member looks over at me and goes, "Joe,
you eat the potato salad?
So and so on the plate." Why? I'm like, I don't eat that. Then they look at me and they go, well, you're a real Canadian. You're not really one of us. You're a real Canadian. Then you're not Trini. You're not this. You're not.
I'm just gonna say some of the stuff. You know what? No, I'm just like no. There's some stuff where I've been at cookouts and I'm like, you know what? I don't like chitlins. I just don't.
Right? Thank you.
I don't like
right?
chitlins either.
I don't like
or grits.
Right?
I don't like grits. No,
I like sweet grits. I don't like salty grits. Apparently, that's a problem.
Wow.
It's fine. If you give me a potato salad, if it's cold, I'm all right with it. If you bring it hot, what are we doing? But even then, like, I agree with you. The moment you like, again,
deviate from the black standard.
It's just. You offend one thing,
quote unquote,
become like it's like the black card gets like no, you don't
excommunicated from the black church.
Bye.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I'm gone. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So here's one thing I wanted to talk about. Actually, well, Didi and Wizzy were going back and forth. Historically, black college in the States, they have this, right? They've got Grambling, they've got Howard, and it's a distinctive thing, and it's even come into the news a lot now because. There was a saying like, should top black athletes prefer to go to black colleges 100%. Because that will drive, their reasoning behind it was that will drive viewership and eyes to these historically black colleges, which will bring them money, which will then allow them to educate more and help more, so on and so forth, right?
1000%.
Yeah,
but so okay. So there's a debate there, but yeah. But so in Canada, what I'm wondering is, what is it? Because again, like Wizzy, you guys were all going back and forth talking about education, talking about we're talking about pillars of the community, spokespersons, all that kind of stuff. For me, if we had a black college, like if kids had the option of going from, instead of going to Vanier, going to Dawson, or they go to like, a HBC, CEGEP or something like that connected to a university, well, then we get to teach, like to go to Diana's point, we get to teach what we want to teach, right? Because John Abbott teaches one way, Vanier teaches another way, Dawson teaches another way, and they all got their own curriculum. They all got their own specialties and what they teach. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a historically black CEGEP, or university in Canada, you would have this opportunity where, like Diana said, where you wouldn't have to chomp at the bit and ask for permission.
Mhm.
You also would be able to, like Wizzy said, control the narrative and be able to get your curriculum out there, because although you've got to meet a certain universal curriculum from the government, like you got to teach your kids, you know, your math, your sciences, everything like that. They got to graduate with whatever the degree. You also have an opportunity to fill, like, you know, all those alternative classes that we all took that meant nothing. You know what I mean? Like I learned, you know, Chinese history, not that it's not nothing, but I mean, you know, there's world histories and, you know, like poetry of something, whatever, you know what I mean? Just filler classes. Like instead you could be teaching kids, like you said, you could be teaching kids about, you know, why Rosa Parks did what she did. What George Washington Carver invented, you know, like all these different aspects, the woman who, you know, the women who helped the astronauts get to space. Like we could teach all these things without the middleman of having to go through societies, you know, like tell our story. It's like, well, no, we can just go to school and we'll teach our kids this and they'll learn this stuff and we can go that way. So my question to you guys is, what do you guys think it would take to get something like that off the ground? Like, what would you think it would take to get a black school in Canada, or even like Quebec? Like, what would that take?
Funding. First of all, it'd take funding, and it would have to take funding from our own community, like from our own culture. So, like our wealthiest people that are open and optimistic about making change and taking initiatives on, you know, supporting our culture. I think that it would take funding, and then with funding, it puts us in a little more of a it gives us a better opportunity to then go for subsidizing like opportunities, you know, support from the government. But yes, it has to come from funding. I think it definitely has to come from us as well, and put forward, you know, a plan of action. You know, to create some kind of plan that's gonna, you know, exemplify what we're gonna teach, what our curriculum is gonna entail, who are gonna be, you know, the qualified educators at the forefront that are going to be educating our future, our youth, our the people who want to be educated, and you know, have like some kind of idealistic location of where we want it to be placed, and I think create like a nice long-term plan that's going to plant the seed and give an opportunity for our culture to like have some kind of substance, some kind of value, some kind of presence, not just in one province, but like across the nation. Like, yes, you got to start with one place, but if there was some kind of collective group, some collective organization to create one model that could be idealistic for our culture to be recognized and to be implemented into a school system across the country, then at least, like, you know, with support of these supporters, you can kind of like, you know, implement other courses, implement different changes to the curriculum that would be a standard curriculum with some tailoring that goes into it as well. Like, no matter where they want to, you know, create a school or create an institution across the country. So, for instance, like
I think there's one that already exists, Jojo. Just to interject.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a black school in Toronto. So the blueprint it's been going for like, I think like maybe close to 10 years, maybe 7 to 10 years, something like that.
Okay.
It's already there. It's running. They're performing well. So the blueprint is there. Just to let you know.
That's good. So I think maybe from province to province, it's going to determine how it can be duplicated potentially, or you know, like I was just saying, you know, to have people that have that wealth or like that financial know-how to maybe create this type of, you know, institution, and have it duplicated across the country. Like I think that's where you need to have some kind of organization, some type of plan like put in place where other people are going to be open-minded and optimistic on it and want to recreate and duplicate that type of educational system for our people and to whoever else who wants to educate themselves in that type of way as well. Like I want to add to what you were saying, Blake, by the what do they call them, by the black schools, black American schools,
Historically black colleges.
Yeah. That Deion Sanders, for all you guys who know primetime Deion Sanders has just became the head coach at Jackson State University.
Yeah, which is huge.
Which is a huge school.
Yeah.
And he is, head coaching football team there. And now he is taking a very big active role in the school. Just from not just the football part, like from the community part. He's actually like taking people from the school, from the student body, putting them, showcasing them on his platform. There's opportunities for black people there to get jobs if they're looking for jobs and they're on campus. Like he took one lady on there the other day and just was like, give us the job description of what you're looking for your next candidate. And then she broke it down, $15 an hour. You're going to be doing ABCXYZ. All you have to do is email us at this place. Like, it's going to take Hall of Fame qualified, like, noble, noticeable figures to take action. Like a LeBron James, of course, but like somebody who can have an influence on other people in that kind of light and give people the opportunity to reach out to them because they're open about it and they have
like PK Subban Elementary. So
that'd be great. Or like Oprah building schools, you know what I mean? Or
yeah, for sure.
We don't have that in Canada. Like the only guy, like you said, it would be like PK right now. Like
Drake.
I can't think of anybody like Malik.
Drake, you.
Yeah, Drake.
Drake, you.
Drake.
I mean, something like that.
Yeah, okay, like Drake, exactly. Right. That'd be another person. You're right. We do have some people.
But I mean, like we have some people, but like not in the wide scale of what is being done for HBCUs. So I think that's the one thing that we're lacking is people don't understand those HBCUs are private. So those are privately owned, they're privately funded. So that means like you need donors, you need people pulling in their money, and like that's independent from like the government. So like they come in when it comes to like tax rebates and whatever else, but like when you're talking from ground up, those HBCUs are black owned, black made, black everything. And then after that, when like you have 5, 6, 7 of them, now it's been the amount of years that they've been there, now they can get government funding. So like we need something like that where like we start it ourselves and I'm saying ourselves like whoever can, because I only got that money, but I will gladly give a portion of my taxes or salary to fund something like this. Like that would be something I would do.
Yeah, people say that, and I'm just gonna speak up here because I am in the thick of it. And like I mentioned to you guys, so I started wefundedit.com, which is basically based on that foundation, is that our community crowdfunds to, because I strongly believe in like the crawl, walk, run method. Because I know people like at the height of everything that was going on, people were like, oh, we need a black bank, and I'm like, oh my God, can we just do a decent susu or a partner? Like, can we just do that, guys? Like, you guys want black banks? Like, slow it down, roll it back. Let's build trust. Let's build partnerships, and we can get there, right? So, I'm telling you, running after black people to get money. I'm not asking for $100. I'm asking for $5 because I'm trying to play on the power of numbers, right?
Yeah.
Five from 500 people could send a couple of us to school for a semester, right? So I'm trying to roll with that, and man, it is tough out there. Like it is tough.
We give our people one chance with money.
That's fine. You
give you the money, and then the moment like you better succeed.
You better deliver.
If it don't deliver, you're not getting 2-3 chances, which is messed up because like. white people get like, all right, man, my company
6
failed.
million chances.
And
Yeah.
then
They're like,
you
Dad,
get
I need
funding for
another
another one, and then you get like for
$500,000.
another
Yeah.
You'll
one.
get a bailout. You'll get a bailout.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Dad. Yeah,
You'll
bail
get
me
that
out. I need
one.
another $500,000 to start up another something, and they just roll like that. But
Yeah.
us, it's like, can you give up a cup of coffee this week? Because y'all know you'd be spending $20 on garbage that you don't need. So you can give up $20 to help a Black student or an entrepreneur. So in terms of building colleges, I think we need to really start small and build trust, because that stuff does not work without trust and relationships, you know.
But I mean, like, to build, let's say to build a college, like maybe we should build like an investments fund, like with actual investors, like build
I
that
know.
that
Well,
network first before we like decide, hey man,
Yeah.
let's build the schools. Like, all right, what's the
Where's
steps
the
to that?
money coming?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Roll it back in the planning
Yeah, yeah.
and like, you know.
Yeah, but I think in idealistic ways, I do think that like it would make more sense. It would give a lot of sense to have other options than for education than just the one that we have. Like, there's the English school board, there's the French school board, there's private schooling if you want to, but there's no like black, like Asians have their own school. They have like
Portuguese,
Jewish people. Yeah, they have their own
Greeks.
school. We don't.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me. So like there should be an option. I'm not saying it should magically happen, but I do agree that like funding is supposed to be there, but yeah, groundworks first. Like
groundworks first.
This is the plan. Like, yeah. Go ahead.
My best friend Balarama Holness, who's like gonna run for mayor of Montreal. Like,
yeah, buddy.
You know, like he's already started his nonprofit organization. You know, Action Montréal en Action, and like he's been running these educational conversations on Black history every week. You know, whether it's Tuesday night, Wednesday night, IG lives and stuff like that. And you know, he was the guy that got like 22,000 signatures, you know, to get the Valet Plante to admit that systemic racism exists, and we need to have public consultations, and have more awareness of this, and see what kind of solutions we can come up with to get the ball rolling. So it's like he's coming from an educational, social, cultural, social economic light, so that at least we can get that kind of recognition and from the government, from our own city. Like,
see, that's a person we need on TV. I want that. I want to hear that.
I'm
That's
excited.
what I want to hear. I'm sure he's been on TV, but like more. Put him more on TV. I mean, like put him in the forefront. I want to see that more. Instead of like, what's the next cooking show type of thing with the next Black person that I don't care about. I'm on smoke tonight. I don't care. I'm just scrolling through my IG and I see like posts and I'm like, okay. Who are you and why are we doing this? Like, what are the things that I actually care about? And like, even like I'll an anecdote for my job. I won't say where I work was, I won't make it hot, but diversity is a checklist. We're almost 2 weeks in Black History Month, and last year we had a promise of things we're going to change, and I just heard like in the last few days are like, oh, by the way, we're trying to do something. I'm like, oh, so that means you didn't plan it. You had a full year. You had a full year. You didn't do anything. So like the leaders that you put on didn't do anything. What was the point? Like you didn't ask. You didn't collect all. And my job is the same thing as your job. There's a lot of us at the company, but there ain't a lot of Black people at the company. I can count them on one hand. So we all know each other, and we can all message each other. Like, did anyone come to you and say anything? No. Did we all talk about what we wanted from the company to do? Yes. Did we put action items for them to use? Yes. But then at the end of the day, even for like stuff like education, like if we put it back to like the actual education of Black history, we gotta also remember that this province, let's say Quebec, it's mostly white. They're going to want to teach white things.
For sure.
So at the end of the day, it's not that we can't fight that, but
It's tough.
There's power in this is what we're going to teach. This is the curriculum. This is what we want to build. Meaning the school thing is great, but it's super hard to say let's remove Black History Month and then what happens then? They're just not going to learn.
Mm. But for me, it's like when I look at it, because I always refer back to like the Jewish model, where you look at them, and there's a lot of things that go on in the Jewish community that we don't know about. That I'm not even saying that we don't know about, but that don't have to get popularized to get done. You know, if you look at the number of schools, like when I drive through NEG to go to one of my buddies, or when I was going to my buddy's place, they put up this gigantic elementary school, and it is it's a Jewish elementary school, and I'm like, so they can put up schools all over Montreal. They can have Jewish colleges. They can have areas that, you know, they can do all this stuff, and it's like we can't combine to do one fucking school in the entire fucking city.
I agree.
But back to Jonathan's funding. It's money, guys.
It's
But
self-funded.
I don't think it's money. I don't think it's just money.
but-
I feel like
but
you
here's
can have money. Sorry, go ahead, Blake.
No. But I was gonna say, like, I understand the money and the conceptual part, right? But I'm looking at these families. I'm looking at my friends who are Jewish, right? And I'm a lot like Wizzy, where I will ask stupid, dumb questions and make an ass of myself because I'm very curious at how things work. And like, I look at a group of people who, and I always go back to Jewish people because whenever I try to look at there's always a game plan, right? Like John, like everybody knows, anybody who plays sports, right? The coach always lays out a game plan. And that game plan is based on past experiences, trying to understand, you know, if this happens, this is how we're going to deal with it, right? If I look at a successful people who went through a similar strife that dealt with them being ostracized, alienated, eradicated, you know what I mean, who had to do things on their own and build themselves up by themselves. Well, the closest similarity I can come to with the Black community is the Jewish community. That's the closest, like, two people I can come together and say that it's a similar situation. Now, I look at to where we deviate from them, and those are the things where I'm like, can we not just work like what Diane is doing? Can we not just work within, excuse me, our own community? Can we not just take something and be like, let's build something small. Let's start something here. Let's get one school going. Let's get our kids going to that school. You know, let's get them learning. Let's make it a really good education, and let's take it from there.
Yeah, 1,000% agreed. I think that there is much more of a sense to them of we're together, meaning we're pulling all our resources, and obviously they're connected and whatever else. And there's a thing of passing that just happens, meaning they have lighter. It sucks to say, but they have lighter skin than us, so like stuff passes, which is fine. But I do agree that like it sucks to not have the same. Let's pull everything and fix one thing. Let's do one thing, and that thing works. We're going to do everything for that. Like you said, they have their own schools. It works. Everybody goes.
Do you think that them actually living in the same area has an impact on their ability to
100%?
Yeah.
Yo,
And
I was
then-
just going to bring that point up.
Sorry, guys.
Just gonna bring that point up.
I beat you guys to it. Sorry.
I
I was
was
going to say,
literally
we're
talking.
just spread out and not every. Yo,
I was just talking to a broker today. She's Israeli, okay, born and raised, and she sells luxury homes. That's what she does. She makes millions of dollars a year. And we're talking, and she was telling me about how she was representing this Jewish lady who she literally showed up to her doorstep with a promise to purchase. Like, I want to sell your house for you because I got someone who wants to buy it. And it's in a Jewish area. I got a buyer for you. They're going to want to buy it from you for $2.8 million. Do you want it? I will find you another place. You're old, but I'll find you a great place. We'll downsize. It'll be fantastic. The woman, after like I guess like 6 months of knocking on the door, the broker, she convinced her to buy the house from another Jewish person who's going to move in that house with their family and stay in the Jewish neighborhood. Why? Because the street that it's on, the property, that whole block is Jewish people.
Mm.
And they all have a family and they all have kids, and it's all close to the school that they bring their kids to, walking distance, or they got to drive and drop them off. But if little Johnny wants to walk home and meet the nanny at home, they can do that. Like, we don't have that. We never created that. We never come together and galvanized everyone together and be like, listen, it's about us here. Let's just make it about us and make the best out of what we can do with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
It's true.
And you know, like
that comes down to generational wealth, man.
That's
generational
wealth.
That is generational.
That's generational.
Yeah, that's true. But like, if I had to call out Montreal North, for example, you know, where people live in poverty and they're living in bad conditions and stuff, that have no resources, it makes it tougher, right? But to add on what Diana was saying, like, you know, using a susu, for example, like, if you're take that as an example to help you build some wealth or build a little bit of savings outside of, you know, putting it in the bank, so that at least when it's time for you to get your when the time turns and it's your turn to touch that money, and you're able to get it and go, you know, put money down on a house or on a condo somewhere to get you out of where you're living, like, it takes a village.
It does. And then, like, sometimes I think in the Black community, I don't know if it's that we don't have that much to give, like, we don't have that to spare, but I think sometimes you got to pay it forward. You got to learn to give without expecting to receive sometimes when it comes to community building. And I feel like that with what I'm doing, sorry for the fourth shameless plug of
No, go.
crowdfunding.
No.
We funded it. It's like, sorry, like, the results are not going to be immediate. Like, the results are going to take time to come, but it's like you need to have that investment mentally, emotionally, and just know that that dollar is going to your community, and that's it. You can walk away and just know that maybe that person that you funded for school one day is a doctor who's going to treat you in your old age. Like, you don't know, but we need to have, like, long-term vision, you know, and start getting creative. Although I did mention, you know, them being able to mobilize because they live in the same area. I think we can get creative. There's technology. We're working from home. We're studying from home. Who's to say that the first Black school is not going to be a digital one? Like, you know, we need to start thinking long term and bigger, like with bigger vision. So
fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, just to add on that, my guy Balarama had been doing some free courses, like on Black history, on different subjects and different topics of related to racism and even the Quebec culture, and, like, you know, Black slavery that was going on in Quebec that people didn't know about, and he was just offering these courses for free, you know, virtually. And you touched on a really big point, Diana, that, like, it really with all the resources we actually have, the tools that we're able to have, it just takes a village to just come together, just a group together, and to create that platform and educate everyone. And it doesn't have to be in a physical sense either. You don't have to have a physical location to do that. Yeah, it's a big thing, but it just takes the effort, really. It takes everyone to be on the same page, but it takes the effort.
Yeah, agreed.
And to be open-minded about it.
I think it also takes a certain instance of that. We have to stop looking for the perfect solution. Yeah, I find this is like, it's a huge thing in the Black community where if I'm offering you a solution, that solution better be perfect. A little
Yeah.
to what Diana said.
Yeah.
More than any group, it's this very weird anomaly, because you would think, based on our history, based on all the things we've gone through, and how we've excelled with nothing, less than nothing, a little bit, somewhat, almost equal, and now kind of equal. Like, we've built ourselves up from the literal ground, and yet there's still this weird thought process that seems to happen, to where, if I'm going to offer you a solution to something, if I'm going to say, okay, well, listen, I have a thing here or whatever, like, let me offer you this service, let me offer you this work. Well, it better be on par with, or it better be better than anything else. Or if it's not better then you better give me a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it better be a deal. Wizzy actually posted something a while ago that really kind of like made my head turn, where if you're for the Black community, stop asking for deals every time your boy tries to start a business.
Zero deals.
Because you will go to Foot Locker, you will go to the Apple Store, you will go to all these places, and you will pay full price for all these things without even batting an eyelash. So when your boy comes out and says, hey, listen, I'm selling this, and this, stop asking for a deal. Because if you want to support the Black community, or you want to support your own community, whatever community that is, trying to like bargain or wager down, somebody else's price point is not doing a service to your community.
Agreed.
And I was like, that's a really good point. That's a really good thing. But I think that's something in the Black community that we've dealt with, is that we tend to always want a perfect solution.
Yeah, agreed. And sometimes you can just give feedback. Like,
Yep.
It's like, if you weren't happy, just communicate with the person, saying, okay, sorry, just to say, like, when they get bad service, we're ready to cut each other off, or just not shop again, or tell 10 people how horrible this is. It's like, just give the person an opportunity to improve. Like,
Yes.
chill, guys.
Like, literally, like, and when I hope you mean just feedback, because some people put on hate. Like, if they can't do it, it's just pure hate.
On blast.
You back down. Yeah, I'm gonna put you back down and expose you to everybody because I can't do what you're doing. But like, sometimes all you need is like, look, the thing you're doing, maybe it doesn't hit the way it should, and I have a suggestion. I'm not saying you should do it, or like, I have an idea to improve it. Take that, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, never, it doesn't. Or if I have skills that could help you, let me tell you what I do to that could improve it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's fine. But like, we have to stop trying to take people down, because like the one person that you take down, like Diana, could be the one person that actually does that bank that we took her down because we told her you can't do nothing no more. You're not allowed. You did your one thing and it failed. So, we said it failed, and so it's over. You can't do it no more. But maybe if we told her, listen, that didn't work, maybe you should do this and this, or implement this and this, and then the next idea she have might be the one that hits, and then it benefits all of us. Like, it's so annoying. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to talk about these things. It's like, I do things I require nothing from no one. I don't care. I also like I don't pull punches back when I charge people. I charge what I charge. But it's a lot. That's what it costs.
See, I told you, I said this last time too. I said, exactly, this is the cost. This is what it is. You don't like it, well,
which is fine. And it might mean that, like, where I am, it costs, sure, but I can refer you to someone that has something different that might help you, and that person will still be Black. That person will, like, I will elevate the other people, and then if we can work, like, and things can always be done, but like, I don't, like you said, trying to just get a deal just because we're Black doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't help, because then when you go back to, like, let's say someone that's not Black, it's like, well, this person paid less, so now you have to dilute yourself. But then if you go to them, they have set prices. They don't go back. They don't go down. They don't go down at all.
No, for sure. And it's just always an interesting anomaly that I always especially catch in the Black community, where it's always kind of like you said. But it's weird, because I think I think we're the first generation where the idea of allowing, not necessarily failure, but allowing an idea to not to kind of fizzle out and, you know, go on to do a thing. I think we're the first generation of Black kids who have the ability to do that. Because when I look at all the generations beforehand, like if you think about it, it was play it safe, do something you know that's going to succeed. Don't be an idiot. Don't put yourself in a bad situation because the cards are always stacked against you.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were, of course. But I think we're the first generation where we have that true ability to kind of fail, pick ourselves back up, and keep on going. You know what I mean? Like we can fail at certain things, we can try different things, and then we don't really have to worry because the social angst or whatever is not really there anymore. But we as a community are still in that old mindset where we treat it as if that guy's going to go out and try to do that. Well, fuck him. He's dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Or
harsh.
worse, it's like
Absolutely.
he's gonna try to do that. I'm too scared to try to do that. So instead of me letting him do that, I'm gonna try to bring him down so we can both be miserable,
Yeah.
which is stupid. But I do think that like it's two faceted. It's one, yes, we have grown up in. It's tough because the way my mom grew up is play it safe because if you don't, you go back to poverty, and that's not why she sacrificed to get to here, right? So, like, she wants to make sure that her wildest dream is where I am now, meaning I don't have to struggle. She did everything she could. She gave everything for me to have the life I have. But in doing so, there's a lot of stuff that she just pushed into me. Be safe, talk nice. When you're outside, don't ask questions, whatever else. All that is in me. But with my kids, I try to not do that. Meaning to push that mentality out so that when they go outside or when they go, they can go further than what I'm doing now without all that stigma, without all that baggage. So yes, I'm trying to dismantle what I'm doing, what was done to me, and it's not like she did it out of malice; she did it out of survival, and that's fine. But I'm making sure that those ideals are not things that I impart in my kids. So like you said, pay it forward. You pay it forward and to make sure like the next generation doesn't have to do that. So that the generation that we have has so much power. And I do think that the generation that's next after us is going to have double what we have.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I mean, with when you pave those ways for your young ones to have, you know, the least amount of obstacles to succeed, you're basically unlearning what you experienced from your upbringing, and then you're relearning how to instill new ways to pave a path for your future, for your kids, you know, for your downline. So it's like it's a hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do.
It's so hard
because
the things
is
is like
this, daddy taught me that, or like I
you have
learned it
reflexes.
They didn't teach me these things.
There's so many things that I catch myself on reflex, just reflex, like simple things. And yes, it's a bit of tangent or whatever. Like, don't talk back to me. But at the same time, too, that's what my mom did because she needed stuff to be done quick. She had a limited amount of time. She needed to like do the dishes, cook the things, make sure she helped me with my homework. Like everything needs to be done. When I say that to them, because it's something I heard, but now I have to stop and go, maybe you should ask a question. Maybe you should hold, like, what's your voice? What's the conversation? Ask the question so we can discuss, so that way you're not scared of asking a question to me and you're not scared of asking questions to another adult.
Yeah.
That way you
do. And to piggyback on your point too, I have the same thing with my, like, she's 3 now, but so I do the same thing because that's what my parents used to do to me. Like if I was asking questions because I didn't understand something because they were doing something that was unorthodox or just because that's the way they learned it, she'll ask me, she'll be like, but why don't we do this? And I catch myself doing that. I'm your father, just listen to me and just please. But then I stop myself and I say, no. no. Wait, sorry. Okay, listen. This is why we're doing it this way. So I sit down and I stop and I explain. And like my girlfriend does the same thing too. And then like every time we sit down and like we talk about parenting, I'm always like, listen, we have to remember the one thing we got to do is whatever we're doing, we've got to explain why we're doing it. Because one, it's a double-edged sword. One, it's going to make us review what we're doing and to see if we're doing things the right way. And two, if that were you in that little body, would you not be questioning every stupid thing that somebody bigger than you was doing? Like you would do it, right? Like even now as adults, as grown adults, don't we? I mean, that's 90% of what podcasting is. You're looking at what other people are doing and saying, why are these stupid people doing all these dumb things, right? It's because nobody sits back and thinks about what they're doing and doesn't allow, like you were talking about, allowing criticism to what we're doing. And again, that even goes back to our other point where it's like, this is exactly what we're talking about in the Black community. We're stuck in this like pinwheel that keeps going around and around and around, where it's like there are things that we do as a community that are not benefiting us, but because we're told to shut up and play it safe, we don't fix them and we don't change them. And even to go back to a further point, like with what Diana was saying about or Wizzy and Diana were saying about representation, we don't. If you ever look at these people, like the ones that you guys are talking about, who's interviewing them?
White people.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And it's not people from that community, or our community. It's people who have been assigned these positions so that they can give the facade that our voices are being heard, but really we're not actually even, saying anything to these people because we don't even know that these people are doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's one guy who I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to go blast, but there's names. I won't do it. I don't want to do it. I can't. It's not the thing. But when George Floyd happened, and they had the protests in Toronto, I saw this dude, and he's a community leader or whatever you want to say. He was a community leader, and he was standing on a Jeep or SUV or whatever with a microphone, yelling, defund the police, this kind of stuff. You know what's going to happen if they defund the police? They're going to have to cut jobs. And you know who the ones they're going to cut? They're going to cut the shit ones. They're going to cut the bad ones. I was like,
you don't know.
One, you have no idea what you're talking about. None whatsoever. Two, if two guys jump you or break into your house, who's the first fucking person you're calling?
The police.
So stop.
Well,
Stop.
Not me though, but yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say Jamal, not him.
Listen, we all haven't been in life or death situations countless times and know how to take somebody out without blinking an eye. You know what I mean? Like the first person I call.
You're right.
The first person I call is Jamal. That's who I call. Jamal, there's somebody coming to my house.
Strengths and weaknesses, and I know full well that in that type of situation, I'm calling the police, which is fine. Like I can defend myself. Don't get me wrong. I'll box somebody out if I need to. But at some point, I'm going to have to interact with the police in that situation at some point. Which defunding the police is not what that guy was talking about, which is stupid.
That's it. But that's my problem though. Like to what Diana said and what Wizzy was saying, is these people get appointed and then they start just saying things to follow a narrative. When in actuality, that whole defund the police thing is put in place to take away from Black Lives Matter. Like it's an opposition point to take away notoriety from the Black Lives Matter movement, because then you turn it into Black people versus the police. When that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is systematic racism. We're talking about laws that don't work anymore. And we're talking about the lack of accountability to the police for not taking care of those people who do wrong. We're not talking about defund. In fact, I would even go the opposite direction. And I would say you have to better fund the police, and you have to make it worth more while, because if you paid them more, you would have more people with better educations and better, better mental
Better
states going in
training.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say,
Cameras
you
on them.
need
Give
more
them more
training.
money.
I honestly think that like it's the worst thing about the defund the police thing is the name. Like it should have been something like divert, something else, because it's not. It really isn't. It's taking money that they might be misplacing in things we don't need them to do, and
Yeah.
reallocating it in things we need them to do. We need them to be retrained. We need them to have better
Yeah.
like stuff like that. But like saying defund, it's visceral to some people.
Like
We want to take money away. We don't want to take money away. We want to use it better.
Cops are
I think-
actually very well paid, by the way. Like,
Yes, they
Oh
are.
no, in
They're-
Quebec they are. There's a lot of
Can you give
schools.
us a range? Sorry, I don't know how much a cop makes.
they make a good. They make six
Upwards.
figures, cops.
Oh
six
no.
Yeah, they're some of them are making six figures.
Oh wow. Okay.
They make good money.
But again, when we look at it, and this Montreal has a little bit of a situation. There is racism in Montreal. There is racism in Quebec. There is black killing. There is all these things exist, right? 100%. But we do have a situation, especially in Montreal, to where when we see something somewhere else, we jump on it 100% and kind of follow that trend, as opposed to kind of say like, okay, look what's going on over there. Is that a problem here? Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's see what we can do, as opposed to, because even like when I'm driving down, because I live in Verdun, so I'm driving down the 15 and they just fixed the Turcotte. I see a gigantic friggin' spray painted thing that says defund the police across the side, and I'm like, what is that? What is that? Come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my friends are police officers. Like, some of my best friends are police officers. I got family members, you know what I mean, that are military. Like, you don't want to defund these people, because if you were to do one day what they have to deal with, like, my buddy was telling me this story about the things he had to deal with. So his morning started off with a 6 a.m. call of a brother stabbed his other brother to death over alcohol. He then had to go to a call where child abuse case, where he had to go grab a little girl away from the mother, because the mother was bipolar, and she'd go into like rage fits, like literal rage fits. And so he had to take the kid away and bring them to social services. And then he had to deal with a mugging of a elderly woman, and he finished off the day dealing with a rape case. And he's like, and they're talking about defunding me.
See,
they're talking about I make no much money. I'm like, I know, dude. I know. I'm like, I get it.
In those things, there's like two of them where I'm like, why was he there?
But that's it.
That shouldn't be his job.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the situation.
But that comes back to your point, though. Like, Nelly, that the first number you're gonna call
is 911.
Is 911.
Yep.
And that's what society teaches us.
Yep.
Right. Or to serve and protect. That's what they do. That's what they're there for. So that's why they fall upon these
I
situations.
just say it's so annoying there should be different divisions. Like, again, funding should be treated differently. And obviously, like you said, you see something in the States and you think you have to apply it differently when it comes to Quebec. We don't have the same amount of money allocated to the police that the US have. Absolutely not. I don't see military grade police officers in Montreal. I just don't. That's not the same type of allocation of money. But I do think that there should be something like dealing with family issues shouldn't be a police officer's job. I don't understand that. That shouldn't be it. Police officers should be involved in crimes. The fact that they have to do these extra things that like are also stressful for them and also potentially something that could be dangerous for both parties involved is something that's like wild to me. It's wild.
It's crazy. All right, listen, guys. I gotta wrap this up because it's an hour and a half podcast, and I think my laptop's gonna die soon. So before it cuts off, I want to make sure that we don't. So I want to thank all the guys and gals for showing up. I very much appreciate it. And like I said last time, we will do this again. And if any of you guys ever have like you said, Diana, if you have initiatives or anything that you want to come on and talk about, please never hesitate. You know what I mean? I'm always down to talk. Always have a great discussion. And yeah, guys, thanks a lot for having this. I really appreciate you guys taking time out to do this.
Thank you for having
me. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, guys. So this has been the Uncommon Sense Podcast. Love you guys, and we're good. Thank you very much.
All right.
Great catching up, everybody.